are one of 5 states that does not have ignition interlock. And the more we learn about it, the more important I can see that it is. Our DUIs have gone up steadily every year since 2002. About 2,200 in 2002, and this year they reached 3,622 at the end of November, so we don't have a tally. It's constantly going up. At our last press conference, some of those reporters that were here said, why do you think that is? Well, we said part of it is because we're not doing anything. And the fact that we are one of 5 that hasn't taken on this technology is, I think, a big part of it. There's been a lot in the paper, but it just makes a lot of sense. You cannot drive your car if you're over the limit of 1.08. You must blow in to this apparatus that's in your car, and it will not let the ignition go. And the other advantage of this program is that it's moderated. You have a little computer in your car, and after you, even if you pass the test, in 2 minutes, it'll ask you again to blow into the apparatus. You're given 6 or 7 minutes to do it because you don't want to be unsafe. You can pull over, and if you don't blow into it, that goes down on your record. It has the effect of monitoring every time you use your car, and this shows behavior, and I think this would go a long way in reducing DUIs in the state of Hawaii. We just want to say that we want the people of Hawaii to be safe. Thank you very much.
His arrest record, he's driving with a suspended license from a previous DUI. So what do you think the answer is besides your initiative?
Well, I think there's a reason that these other states have gone ahead with this, and they're having success. They all implement it slightly differently, but we have done nothing. We're giving these people a free pass. The worst thing we do is take their license away, and they still drive. As we see in that situation there. Some states require the driver, after he's been arrested, proven guilty, fined, he can drive his car, but only with the interlock system, which monitors him every time. And so they're getting data all the time. The drunk driver who has to do this must pay to have this apparatus installed in his car and pay for the monitoring costs, which is $60 or $70 a month. The advantage of it is if it was a one-time thing, they can still go to work. They can drive their car as long as they haven't been drinking. But it creates a record. It shows, it's sort of a learning thing too for the person who thinks they don't have a drinking problem. But it begins to be pretty clear when he can't pass, he can't drive his car, he's got to call somebody. So this would be just a winner for everybody. We have kind of just been ignoring the fact that we have a lot of drunk people driving on our roads. Thank you.
If I could add to that, there's another part of our package that is a resolution that requests and encourages bar owners, homeowners, and restaurant owners to have available for their patrons breathalyzers. This is basically putting it in the community's hands to say, hey, I need to test myself before I get in that car. So those who haven't been caught, or those who have been caught at least one time, we can start to address that in an attitude change. We also, with the rising, we also propose for harsher, stricter penalties and fines for the first-time user. Hopefully with that, they'll change their attitude that this is not a simple offense, but this is a very death-causing offense to drive under the influence.
Representative Meyer, have you thought about what agency you're thinking of getting involved with overseeing this kind of process?
It's done differently in every state. MAD had a very good comprehensive thing showing which states had it and which ones were working well and which ones were not. I didn't go into all the details, but it's usually they get a separate company to do the monitoring. But when they install the breathing apparatus, it's attached to a small mini computer that's taking all the data, and then these companies, or whether it's a parole agency, it's done differently in every state. But also, they've been doing this since 1970, and so the technology keeps getting improved. You know, you think maybe they just stick it out the window and let the wind blow. It doesn't work because it comes with a little tiny camera that takes a picture of who's blowing into it.
But are you thinking it's the state or the city? Sorry, I didn't know if there was that.
In some states, it's done in the city level, you know, in some of the county levels. But it's been embraced big time in most of the states.
Pedestrian fatality is a very serious issue here in Hawaii, and in particular my area, Liliita, Kalihi. We know that for the year 2007, there were 654 pedestrian collisions island-wide, and in 2006, there were 682. We know now that it's a we, not an I issue. We want to make sure that we raise awareness, to make sure that people understand that we have to look at this as everyone needs to be responsible, both the pedestrian and the driver. And that's something that we're going to work on. We also are going to raise the fine substantially for incidences regarding pedestrian fatality and pedestrian collisions.
Thank you. There are few issues more important right now in Hawaii than pedestrian safety. Three things we can do. First, education. Education for both pedestrians as well as drivers. Number two, enforcement. And three is to take a look at our intersections. Our intersections, quite frankly, are designed more to facilitate movement of vehicles than they are for pedestrians and making them safe for pedestrians to cross them. We look at these three things and we'll make a dramatic difference in terms of making our intersections and our streets more safe for pedestrians. Thank you.
Can I ask you about your pedestrian safety bill? We always hear this every year. It comes up every year. We hear about how we're going to fix pedestrian safety. We hear the same old story. The police go out there, they give tickets and so on, but we still have pedestrians being hit. You're talking about we've had enforcement and so on. But what about your last part of it, which is looking at intersections? How do you think that's going to, how do you realistically see that happening?
Well, I said we have to look at our intersections, and it's two parts. One of them is signal lights, and all our signal lights should be standardized. They should be standardized in terms of when the flashing hand comes on, when it turns red. They are not standardized at this point. The second thing is that we have to look at the curvature of the street at the intersection. If you go around the United States and you look at communities which have a very gradual curve, you find out that pedestrians get killed much more frequently than they do than on streets which come to a square front. And when people look at this and realize the consequences, then actions will come. Thank you.